Hi guys, today I wanted to do a review on fractions with you guys. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to look at adding fractions. So what we're going to look at today is we're going to look at common denominators. So when we're adding fractions together, that denominator, so the number on the bottom, needs to always be the same, okay? So we're going to go 1/2 plus 1/3 plus 1/6, okay? So what we have is we have three different denominators on the bottom there. We need to make sure that those are all the same, right? So we can add them together. So the first thing we look at is we look at 6, right? So 3 can go into 6 and 2 can go into 6, right? So whatever we multiply the denominator by, we have to multiply the numerator by the same. So looking at this one here, we have 1/2. So to get from 2 to 6, we have to times that by 3, right? We also have to times the 1 by 3 as well. So that now becomes 3/6, right? This one here, we have 1/3, right? So we need to get that 3 to become a 6. So we times that by 2. We do the same to the top too, right? So now we have 2/6, right? And then the 1/6 stays the same, right? So now we have 3/6 plus 2/6 plus 1. So we add up the tops. The numerator is always going to be, the denominator is always going to be the same, right? So it's going to be 6 on the bottom. And then this one here adds up to 6 on the top, right? So now we have a whole. So that one we could just represent as 1, because that's no longer a fraction, right? That's a whole number. So we'll do one more like that as well, just as an example. So we'll do 3/5 plus 9/10. So for this one here, right, we need to make sure those denominators are the same, right? So this one here, we can't reduce that any lower, so we're going to have to bring this one up to become a 10. So we're going to times this by 2, and we're going to times this by 2 as well. So now we have 6/10 plus 9/10. So again, remember the bottom always stays the same, so that's going to be 10 still. And the top, we add them together, that's going to give us 15. So now what we have there is we have what they call an improper fraction. So we need to reduce that down, right? So how we do that is we look and we see how many times the denominator or the numerator can go into the denominator, right? So we know that 10 can go into 15 one time, right? So we're left with 1 whole and 5/10, right? Now that's okay, we could leave that like that, but we could also reduce that even lower, right? So we could reduce that even lower by looking at the common denominators, right? So how many times can 5 go into 10? So it can go in there 1, and then 5 can go into 10 2 times, right? So we look on here, right? And then that one becomes 1 and 1/2, right? That 1/2 inch. So that reduces it even lower. So that is kind of the final form there, right? But either or would be acceptable. So what I want to do now is I want to look at kind of multiplying some of the fractions here. So when we're multiplying the fractions, what we're going to do is, so we're going to go 4 times 1/5, right? So when we're doing that, we only need to times it by the numerator. We don't need to times it by the denominator there. So what we're going to do is we're going to times 4 times 1. So it's going to be times 1 gives us 4/5. So we just times it by just the denominator, and not the numerator, not the denominator. So we'll do one more like that. We'll do one where it gives us kind of an improper fraction. So we'll do one in here. So we have 4 times 3/8. So we take our 3 times 4. That's going to give us 12, right? So that's going to give us 12 over 8. So we have to reduce that down, because that right there is an improper fraction. So we need to reduce that down. So how many times can 8 go into 12? So it can go in there 1 time. And what we're left with is we're left with 4, right? So we're left with 4 over 8. So we can reduce that one down even further as well. So what we need to do, right, is we need to see how many times can 4 go into 4. 4 can go into 4 1 time. And 4 can go into 8 2 times, right? So that's going to become 1 and 1/2. Again, just reducing it down there. Okay, so thank you guys for watching. Please feel free to email me again if you do have any questions about any of the stuff that I've given you guys kind of in your learning packages. Okay, have a good day. Goodbye.